here we are. This is the place where it all began, somehow. Where we began again. This, yeah. It's the Yoga Pīṭha, Mahaprabhu's birthplace. Yoga Pīṭha means meeting place. So different acharyas have explained meeting place in different ways. But in one sense, meeting place because also Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radha, so it's a form of Radha and Krishna combined, so it's a meeting place of the two in the form of Sriman Mahaprabhu, who was born here in February 28, 1486. That's the exact date of Mahaprabhu's birth. I was on, as you know, on a Purnim, a full moon. And on that day there was a lunar eclipse. So it is said that on the occasion of the eclipse, the whole of Navadvīpa was chanting the names of Hari. So Mahaprabhu arrived in the context of Harinam Sankirtan, basically. His arrival brought Harinam Sankirtan to the world. And Srila Siddhar Maharaj also explains beautifully how the appearance of Mahaprabhu again represents Radha and Krishna combined in its own way, regarding the analogy of the Purnim, right? Full moon. He says Krishna appeared on which day of the moon?
Eighth day.
Astami, which means half moon. That's my point. Yeah. And Sri Radha appeared on Astami, which means half moon. You put the two moons together, half moon and half moon means Purnim. That's Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar appeared on a day with no moon. That's another conversation about Gadadhar Pandit we'll have in a few days before we go to Godbrohm. So yeah, Mahaprabhu is called Gaur Chandra sometimes, the golden moon, the golden full moon. So he came in that particular day. So as we were saying, Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura was the one who envisioned this place. Before that, the Yoga Pīṭha was considered to be somewhere else, Mahaprabhu's birthplace, and still some Vaishnavas consider that. And we are not here trying to fight and convince everyone this is the only one. But on the basis of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's, again, not only vision, but deep research about the geography and the history of the place and the study of sacred texts and inquiry from locals, then having his own vision from Godroom of the Adbhut-mandira of this particular temple. That's the vision of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. And then Jagannath Das Babaji coming here, being brought, celebrating, this is indeed the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. With all that foundation, we say, this is Mahaprabhu's birthplace. From our experience and feeling. And again, Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura started here, constructed a small place here, the deities of Mahaprabhu and Lakshmi and Vishnu Priya that we see on the altar, and Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, he established those, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura continued the work here, erecting the Adbhut-mandira that his father and Guru Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura had envisioned, and installing the deities of Gaur, Radha, Madhava, Panchatattva. And now in a minute also we'll go to another section. There are a few places to beat here, as we saw. There are some deities of Gaur Gadadhar, Varahadev going there. So we'll go there, installed also by Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura in a minute. But first, yeah, let's stay here for a moment. Let's try to sink in what happened here today in the morning. We spoke a little bit about the birthplace of Mahaprabhu in Krishna Lila, and how that birthplace of Mahaprabhu in the zenith of Krishna Lila created the birthplace of Mahaprabhu here, where we are now, an extension of that. So yeah, let's pray for a moment in silence, personally, internally, what reveals, and let's try to sink in what happened here and what does it represent for us. Shri Yoga Pīṭha ki jai. As we mentioned, when the further foundations for the establishment of this temple were digged into this deity of Adokshaya, Vishnu manifested, which was said to be worshipped by Jagannath Mishra, Mahaprabhu's father. So that was a further confirmation that this was the house of Nimai Pandit, basically. So here Mahaprabhu was not only born, but he performed many of his childhood pastimes, which we may not have time to go in detail to all the childhood pastimes. You are invited to study Chaitanya Bhagavat. But in general, what we can say is that he was, being Krishna himself, he was as restless as Krishna as a child. So it's very interesting because when we study the pastimes of Mahaprabhu as a child, there are many parallels between the pastimes of Krishna as a child and things he will do in one lila, will do in the other, with a slightly different mood and adjustment, but keeping the mischievous part of it, basically. But he was born under this, this is a replica of the original neem tree and a seed coming from the original one. And it's a neem tree, and from that place Mahaprabhu received the name Nimai. Neem, it means he who is born under a neem tree. Because they believe at the neem tree, if you wanted to relish one of the 7 rasas in terms of food, which is bitterness, here you have it. Let's pick a neem tree leaf. I did it myself, not here, but that's bitter. So the belief was if someone is given a nickname, because that was a nickname, his actual name of birth is Vishwambar Mishra. So a nickname was given to him by Sita Thakurani, Advaita Acharya's wife, Nimai. So Nimai is connected to neem, which is bitter, so it was believed that will protect the children from negative influences. To be given a name with something bitter, so negative influence won't go there. Because there's something bitter about that person, even the name, so it was kind of more of a village tradition of putting names to kids like that. Recently I was reading the biography of a famous Vaishnava Tinkadi Goswami, the guru of Vinod Bihari Bābājī, and he was named Tinkadi, which means he was born. There was this village tradition, interesting. He was born from his mom, but with the help of a midwife, and then the midwife claimed the child as her own. It's part of the tradition. It was not like the mother knows that will happen, and then the mom buys the children back for 3 cowries, like 3 cowrie. How you say that?
Oh, cowrie.
Yeah. So she gives 3 cowries and the kid is back. Again, it's all they know they will. So it's like it was saying he's worth 3 cowries, so nobody will come and try to steal him or because. No? So this type of Nimai is another similar sensitivity, right? Like cultural sensibility. So he was born under this place. And again, as we say today, we were born in many ways under this. As we said, a lot to do with trees. We were in Kolkata, in Śrīla Prabhupada's birthplace, jackfruit tree. For those who had a chance of being in New York, where Prabhupada started his movement in the West, there is a tree, still the same tree, in Tompkins Square Park, the Hare Krishna tree. And great sadhus, personalities, I've seen videos of them going to that tree, falling at their feet, because again, those trees are great personalities who witnessed something incredible. So this tree, again, it's not just, okay, here a great personality was born, but because of that, this tree is a great personality. Though he comes in parampara from the original tree, he still is part of a parampara of great tree personalities. So here we are as a result of all that. I'll invite you to let's do one little exercise before we continue sharing. Maybe after that we can chant a little japa here before we go to another place inside the same compound. So we'll make it in groups of 3. Can you hear me? Sir. Have it here, sir. Okay, this is not to be made in groups of 3, just by yourself. Yeah.
So we already chosen already.
Sorry?
We made that right.
Deconstructed. So you can sit anywhere you feel drawn in the area, so we don't get lost, but somewhere here if you want, where you are already. Okay, so we can sit nearby the tree here, everywhere. Try to, for a moment, close our eyes, try to visualize the scene of Mahaprabhu's being born here, full moon day, holy name vibrating, all that it represents, trying to see what arises by that particular scene, no? What is awakening in us by contemplating that moment. And then eventually we can enter into a mood of prayer and ask to ourselves, or ask to Nimai, as he's born here, visualizing his birth, what do you want me to remember about myself today? No? Let's enter into conversation with Mahaprabhu here. No? So he's being born here. What does this great personality wants me to remember about myself today? What I need to keep in my awareness, what Mahaprabhu wants to reveal to me. So let's spend a few minutes like that. I'll let you know whenever that's over. So you find your place, sit down, visualize what took place here, feel what counts, what awakens, and then in the voice of your heart you can ask Mahaprabhu, what do you want me to remember about myself today, by your grace? And again, don't stray for a particular answer. It may come silence, it may come an image, it may come... You can stay with the question. So of course the idea with these moments is try to enter into conversation with the place, right? It's a living place, it's a living realm, so trying to develop a sense of relationship and personal connection, hearing the birds, hearing the people, perceiving what's going on inside, trying to go deep in what happened. That will be our attempt in every place we go, trying to develop a relationship. No? Radical personalism. It's all about personal connection with the place. And again, you can chant, you can pray, you can journal, whatever comes as necessary in these spaces. And needless to say, feel free. Every day we'll have a few hours free. If some of you felt some attraction to some place and you would like to come by your own or with some, feel free to do so. You already know where it is. Google Maps will assist you in the rest. But these places are here for us. So again, we are here as we talked in the morning, Gaur Lila is the zenith of the zenith of the zenith of the zenith. Here we are in Antardvip, the central island, surrounded by the 8 petals of the lotus of the other 8 islands of Navadvip. So Antardvip means the center. Antar means internal, and it's connected. I briefly mentioned that regarding Antardvip with this pastime that we referred to today in the morning of Brahma Vimohan Lila, after Brahma stole the key, the gopas, and the cow and the calves. Thank you. And Brahma realized his mistake. He prayed to Krishna for mercy. And it is said that in this place, Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura reveals, in this place, Krishna revealed to Brahma, I will come as Mahaprabhu and reveal this unique lila. So Antar means also secret, something very Antar, very internal. So Antardvip is named after this particular thing. So Antardvip is the center of the lotus, and this particular place is the center of the center. So we are here in the epicenter of the essence of the essence of the center of the center. So it cannot get more substantial than here. So we will go to a few more places before we leave this particular compound and go to Chaitanya Mat. We'll go in the back to two pair of deities that were installed by Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, Lakshmi Nrsimha, I say Baraha before, sorry, Lakshmi Nrsimha, and Gaur Gadadhar. No? We will know, and in 2 days we'll go to Godrum, which is another island, and we'll visit the 2 houses of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. There is Gaur Gadadhar again. And he was a fanatic of Gaur Gadadhar, and we also are. So here is also Gaur Gadadhar, which we will talk more these days. Actually, it's the Radha Krishna version of Gaur Lila, because Mahaprabhu is Krishna, in the mood of Radha. It's not Radha and Krishna in every sense. It's Krishna in the mood of Radha. So where is Radha? Gadadhar Pandit. What's the role of Gadadhar? We'll talk these days. I will have darshan of Gaur Gadadhar and Lakshmi Nrsimhadev, remover of obstacles to enter into the Gaur Lila. And then we'll briefly visit a kunda that was inaugurated here by Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura called Gaur Kunda, which he says is the mixture of Radha Kunda and Shyama Kunda. Radha and Krishna meeting together in a certain way becomes Mahaprabhu. So this also, remember, is a place of bhajan for Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, one of his main places. He started here, then he moved to other places. So it's a very, very sacred place, so we'll go and visit there now. First, Lakshmi Nrsimha Gaur Gadadhar in that direction, and then we'll visit Gaur Kunda. Stop there for a moment, and then go to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Śrī Yoga Pīṭha ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura ki jai. So we are welcome to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So this is one of the main temples of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, founded in 1918. At the same time that the Ulta Ganda temple in Kolkata was opened, not at the same time, but same year. So this is one of the headquarters of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta's, and from which all the different Gaudiya Math branches sprouted, so to say. He will spend lots of time here. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu is the name also of one of the first two branches of the original Gaudiya Math. Gaudiya Math became Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and Gaudiya Mission. Gaudiya Mission is the one we visited at the Bagbasar, where they have the museum. So they became, after he passed, there was division, and there were court cases, and there were distribution of the temples. So the Gaudiya Mission stayed with the Bagbasar Gaudiya Math among other temples, and Caitanya Math stayed with this place among other places, as well as Yoga Pīṭha and other places. So here we are, of course, in front of the Samadhi of Śrīla Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, which doesn't mean that he passed here. Remember, he passed in Kolkata, in Bagbasar, where we went. But after he passed, his body was taken by train from there to here. So it explains how the train will pass in different villages, and all the villagers will come to offer pranam one last time to Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's body, which was carried in the train. So the train will be stopping a little bit at different villages, and all the villagers offer till came here. So samadhi in Sanskrit means perfect meditation or complete meditation. Dhi, samadhi, dhimahi, to meditate, and sam means full. So someone who attains the perfection of meditation is considered samadhi. And in those cases, like it happened with Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, his body has been not burned, but has not cremated, but buried in salt. So somehow the salt preserves the body. The body of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta is down here. The murti represents that. And the preservation of the body also indicates that in a body similar to this, he's eternally serving in Gaur Lila, assisting Mahaprabhu in a purely spiritualized sadhaka deha. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta named this place also Vrindavana Patam, which means the place where Vrindavan becomes manifest. So again, this has to do with what we talked today. Between Navadvīpa and Vrindavan, there is no difference. And if you're in Navadvīpa, if you go deep, you see, Vrindavan is here. Krishna Lila and Gaur Lila are not two divorced realities, and that's why he established here Radha Kunda, Shyama Kunda, Giri Govardhan. We'll go there to make the point. Here we are, no? Like Gaur Kunda there, Shyama Kunda here, Radha Kunda, Shyama Kunda. There are other places to visit, and we'll go also here. There is the Samadhi of Srila Gaur Kisor Das Babaji Maharaj, who was the Diksha Guru of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta. So again, it's a very significant, important place for many reasons. So we can spend a few moments before continuing inside the compound, going to the expansions of Vrindavan, and spending some. When we get to Gaur Kisor Das Babaji Maharaj's Samadhi, we can speak a little bit about him as well. But for a moment, let's sit at the feet of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta with all that we have shared so far about him, how from this particular place, another birthplace, of so many branches and sub-branches, and we being a byproduct of all that. So this is another one of the wombs from which we have been born, and we are here today. Spending a few minutes in silence, praying to Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, and listen deeply to whatever needs to be revealed by His grace here today. Here we are at Gaur Kisor Das Babaji Maharaj's Samadhi. We have just been a few moments ago, as you saw, we had the fortune of having darshan at the very last moment of the deities installed by Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, Gandharvika Giridhariju. Remember the deities in Kolkata and Ultadanga is Gandharva Giridhari, but these are Gandharvika Giridhari, which is basically the same. And this is basically the headquarters of the whole Gaudiya Math. Now, from here, all the other branches came. So this is the mother, father of all the three coming from Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. And in the beginning, all this was basically jungle. Now we have this beautiful, incredible building with so many places, but in the beginning it was just small cottage and Bhaktisiddhanta residing here. And as Sundar Gopal said the other day, his disciples were kind of, okay, if we want to spread the message, we may need to go to Kolkata, because here there are just us and Bengali tigers. So, yeah, and remember, Prabhupada will do this intense sadhana in places like this, chanting 1 billion names, 3 lakhs per day for 10 years. Before all the mission started to expand, it all began here, right? So he established Gandharvika and Mahaprabhu Gandharvika Giridhari. In most of the altars of Gaudiya Math branches, you will see Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu. Trying to create this connection between Mahaprabhu and Gaur Lila and Krishna Lila. But Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta will say, Mahaprabhu Śrī Caitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya Rupa Nuga Janera Jivana. For the followers of Rupa Goswami, our life and soul is exploring how Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna. In which sense Mahaprabhu represents Radha and Krishna. That's Janera Jivana, the life and soul of the followers of Rupa Goswami. And as we saw in a minute, I'm talking a little bit about that place because we cannot stop at every single place, at least here, there are too many places. But you have seen that around the temple, main temple, there was these 4 deities of the main Vaishnava Sampradaya Acharyas, Nimbarkacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Ramanujacharya, from the corresponding Vaishnava Sampradayas, as a way of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta presenting the tradition in a way that is non-sectarian. Because technically speaking, all these other sampradayas are different religions. They are Vaishnavism, but there are different Siddhanta, different considerable differences. So we could talk about them as different religions, sister traditions, as I like to say. As we could talk about Christianity or Sufism or sister traditions. And he's acknowledging them in this way, presenting the murtis of these acharyas, which are worshipped on a daily basis, not just like a picture over there, but they are worshipped on a daily basis. So it's a pretty much inheriting the non-sectarian spirit that he received from his own father and main guru, I would say, Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. As we know, he was so open, so dynamic. So Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura was Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta's main Siksha guru, I would dare to say. But here we are at the Samadhi of his Diksha Guru, Srila Gaur Kisor Das Babaji Maharaj. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, again, was the son of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura gave him Harinam, gave him Narasimha Mantra, gave him Siksha, and told him to get Diksha from Gaur Kisor Das Babaji, interestingly enough. So the fact that he went to Gaur Kisor Das Babaji was following the instruction of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. So Gaur Kisor Das Babaji, as we know, he was an avadut. He was a person who will not fit in the normal social standards, and he will, in order to not be disturbing his bhajan, he will be found chanting the names in the public toilet or things like that. He won't care about anyone's opinion. He just wants to be doing his own thing, so to say. That was his mode. He was, as we will call a bhajananandi, someone who is more of a reclusive, hermit-like type. He had no disciples, actually. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is his only disciple. Unfortunately, in some Vaishnava Gaudiya lineage, there is even the doubt or the questioning or the denial that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura received initiation from Gaur Kisor Das Babaji at all, and many times that's taken as a reason to say this lineage is not real or bona fide. But actually, Gaur Kisor Das Babaji was close friends with Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. He actually saw Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, his Siksha Guru, so they will meet each other usually, and Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was there. And of course, even that's, as I like to say, Bhaktisiddhanta will be lying about his initiation with Gaur Kisor Das Babaji. That's not a small detail. So he will be a great big cheater, and you can expect all that came from him coming from a lie, basically, right? And if you study his life and precepts and his level of morality and adherence to Dharma, of course, I say, well, but there are no pictures from that day. But on that basis, we can question almost everyone else's initiation because we don't have picture from this and that and personal witness. So on good faith, we are, of course, accepting that and on the basis of what we have seen, his life, example, followers, fruit, and we are part of that. So again, Gaur Kisor Das Babaji is another crucial figure that has given birth to us. Because of him, Bhaktisiddhanta, Prabhupada, Srila, here we are. So all these great personalities are to be honored. And so this is the samadhi of Gaur Kisor Das Babaji. Actually, his samadhi originally was not here. It was in another part in Navadvīpa, not in Mayapur, but in Navadvīpa, an area called Kulia. At one point, the Ganges was like kind of overflowing, you say? So the whole samadhi area was going to be lost. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta himself moved that to here. And Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta being his only disciple, which is very similar to the dynamics between Narottam Das Thakur and Lokanath Goswami, because Lokanath Goswami only had one disciple, Narottam Das, who had thousands of disciples. Gaur Kisor Das Babaji only had one disciple, Bhaktisiddhanta, who had thousands of disciples. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, when Gaur Kisor Das Babaji passed, he put his body into samadhi, but when he was about in the process of doing that, other Babajis of the area came and said, we are supposed to put the body of Gaur Kisor Das, because we are Babajis, we are not Babaji. At that time, Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta was brahmachari. He eventually accepted sannyas from a picture of Gaur Kisor Das Babaji, interestingly. So many told him, you are not Babaji, we are Babajis, he was Babaji, we are supposed to do that. And Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta say, okay, but let's make a deal. Okay, he was surrounded by Babaji, said, those who in the last month have not had any illicit connection with ladies can put the body of my Guru in samadhi, can touch it, can dare to touch it, this sacred spiritual body. So everyone's like, okay, the last 2 weeks, who? And again, he will speak with authority. Again, he walked his talk, so his words came with power. In the last 2 weeks, I'm not talking about you. I'm just in the last 2 weeks, who of you have had, whomever is free from any illicit connection, you are Babaji, you are supposed to be renunciants. Who? Whomever, you can put his body into samadhi. 1 week. 1 week? Nobody. No. And eventually, gradually, all of these quote-unquote so-called Babajis started to leave the place. Realizing the truth of the matter, and that's when Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta put Sri Gaur Kisor Das Babaji's body in samadhi again, in this other part. And then this is the current samadhi. So here we have, again, the samadhi of Gaur Kisor Das Babaji Maharaj, the samadhi of his disciple Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. So we're going to spend a few moments trying to reflect on Gaur Kisor Das Babaji. His life was one of extreme renunciation. In his pranam mantra, Namo Gaur Kisoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye, he's described as the direct murti of Vairagya and the direct deity of personification of what it means to be renounced. But in Sanskrit, Vairagyas, we always say, Vairagya, Vai means Vaishistya, a very special type of Ragya. Raga means attachment. So Vairagya means detachment but translates as a very special type of attachment. So he was so especially attached to Krishna that as a byproduct, he was totally detached from everything. But he was not pursuing detachment for its own sake. He was pursuing sacred, passionate, divine attachment. And detachment came as a natural consequence. Extreme detachment. Sometimes he will be found offering like a raw eggplant to Krishna with some salt, and he will cry in ecstasy, So again, as Krishna says in the Gita, Patram pushpam phalam, fluid water, a drop of water, one petal of one flower, one seed of one fruit, not even the whole fruit, not even the whole flower. Raw eggplant. As long as bhakti is there. So Gaur Kisor Das Babaji was the embodiment of this divine bhakti, this divine passion. So, yeah. Let's spend a few moments with Gaur Kisor Das Babaji. Again, this is all personal. This is all about connecting with people, with places, with great personalities, and trying to pray for the grace in whatever way it has to become manifest for us now. So let's spend a few moments trying to internalize this particular place here.